GM, and welcome to another Kyzzen live stream where we feature notable projects across the Solana ecosystem. And before we begin, we would really appreciate it if everyone could help to like, comment, and share the live stream to share the fun and alpha with everyone on X. And today we are joined by BAXUS, a marketplace and exchange for wines and spirits on Solana. And without further ado, I'm going to bring up their co-founder here. And GM.
GM, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very embarrassed, but could you share how to pronounce your name?
Yeah, I'm Tzvi Wiesel, and
Sorry?
I'm the Tzvi.
Right.
Yeah, so
Wiesel.
Tzvi.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
Wiesel. There you go.
I didn't want to butcher it. Yes, but
No, don't worry at all.
yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited for today's live stream. As you can see from my small little shelf here, always ready to have a good drink. My favorite drink is a free drink, and, and my second favorite drink is a cold drink. So I've
I like
always
it.
heard about BAXUS, and I understand that you guys focus a lot on like more exclusive and the fine section of wines and whiskeys. So been really excited to have this conversation with you. Um, I guess before we begin, maybe we could start a little bit about your Web3 journey, specifically into Solana, as well as how you guys came about the idea for BAXUS.
Yeah, for sure. So my Web3 journey, I'd say actually really starts with BAXUS and works
Mm-hmm.
backwards. Carrie, my co-founder, and I, when we were looking to build an exchange for wines and spirits, that was the idea. We looked at what is the best way to build this, what's the best way to to actually make sure that this type of system can work for users, where they have the proof of ownership, not just relying entirely on a closed
Right.
system. And based on a lot of the longer term goals that we had 5 years ago when we set out, we realized that this is actually really best suited to be built on a blockchain. So we started playing around. We knew that we were going to tokenize the bottles, that they were going to appear to users as NFTs. And so we went and looked at basically all of the leading protocols. We played around on Ethereum, obviously. We looked a little bit at Polygon at the time. And ultimately what we realized, and Carrie was the one who actually was like, hey, I heard about this other blockchain called Solana. We should check it out. And so my job at the time when we were first getting spec'd was, Carrie would do the actual technical research on like how the chains
Yep.
work, their liveness, et cetera. And then I would go and actually transact, buy some NFTs, trade them, try and understand like how the products worked and where they were going. And what I found when I was on Ethereum was that it was basically unusable for what we were trying to
Right.
build. That at the time, they hadn't made any of the major upgrades that they've made. Gas fees were absurdly high. So you could end up trying to do a transaction for something that, the price is $200, but the gas price is another
Correct.
$200. And that just doesn't work because, it works when we were in the absolute, mania and hysteria of NFTs, where everyone's like, hey, everything's going to $1 million. So sure, what's $200 in transaction costs? But ultimately, our goal for what we were building with BAXUS was, again, this fast, seamless, and really cheap execution to be able to trade these high value bottles. And so, we did some research. We traded some of the early Solana NFTs. We saw what it looked like, and we're like, okay, this is a network that is being built for real commercial products on top
Yep.
of it.
Yep. That's awesome. And when do you guys actually release the first public version of this app?
So we've had so many different like iterations. Like, back in 2021, there was actually, and it was cool because there was one NFT marketplace, and they were too early for this, for this specific idea, but that allowed you to, everything was priced in dollars instead of in
Mm-hmm.
crypto. That became, again, like a huge, huge issue that we had, was that everything was always crypto
Yep.
priced, and that was an issue because crypto was so
Yep.
volatile. And so many of our users in our target audience are, you know they're not crypto users by nature. They're whiskey people. They're regular everyday, haven't spent any time on chain. And so um so that became like a really big I'd say portion of this whole thing for us. Um was like making sure, again, that it was cheap, it was usable, and that it could appeal to users. So the V1, like our first NFTs themselves, like we actually sold in 2021 when we got founded. We used this marketplace, this third party place. People were able to pay with a credit card, and it was really cool. It was like, we felt like we had really made an accomplishment. But then we looked and we're like, okay, we can't actually onboard, the users that we need to be onboarding, our actual, whiskey buyers and stuff, because to get them set up with wallets and seed
Yep.
phrases just didn't work. So we then spent the next year and a half or so really rethinking the product and rebuilding it. So it's like, how do you make this something that can be priced and denominated in dollars? USDC at that time wasn't even on Solana. Like there were so many things that we take for granted
Yep.
now that just didn't exist back then from the infrastructure perspective. Credit card processing on Solana, like all of these types of things, even just logging in with an email, like we all now, take Privy for granted and all these things, but it just did not exist. So that was like a major like reshift for us. And then I'd say like the V2, so to speak, went live in 2023. It was really like a beta. We're still able to build it and test things out, kind of getting everyone on, like our early users onboarded. And then the full product really went live in 2024. That was really when we were able to, seamless login using an email, seamless checkout using a credit card. Now, of course, on the back end, everything is still running on chain. You can still use crypto. You can still, like your tokens, your bottles are
Yep.
NFTs, but all of that part has been totally abstracted away for, a typical everyday user who either doesn't know anything about crypto or frankly is just afraid of it,
Yep.
or very dubious.
Yep. That makes sense. And I can imagine how much effort it took to kind of abstract away as much of the Web3 nature of it for whiskey buyers. Yes, that's the number one issue I think with a lot of RWA projects.
Yeah, 100%. And I will say that a lot of them, I'm just super happy about all the new ones that are coming to market. Like they really don't realize how good they have it in the sense of like, even for somebody who wants to build a gotcha now, like Collector Crypt has basically white labeled their gotcha, their actual gotcha technology over there, like the white, like they've white labeled and API'd it so that anyone can go and build on top of
Yep.
it. There's so many different processors now, credit card processors and Privy again for email login. All of these things did not exist. And so like now is really the ideal time for people to be focusing and building RWA
Yep.
projects because you can build for an audience rather than having a solo audience where you're like, I'm relying on crypto. You actually can have a build something for a consumer audience that might not, again, have anything to do with crypto, but still benefits from all the back end.
That makes sense. I think before we go on this conversation, maybe you'd like to screen share and so we can check out your platform as well.
Yeah, let me do that now. So let me see if I'm able to, because I'm on my phone. You know what? You want to pull it up and on yours and see if you can.
Sure.
And I'll walk you through it.
Sure. Give me a quick second. Is it this one? Vending.BAXUS.co? The vending machine?
Yep, that's it. So that's our vending machine.
It's kind of like gacha.
Yep, exactly. Our vending machine is a gacha. That's exactly it.
Is this new? How recent is it?
Yeah, we launched it only about a little over a month ago.
Interesting. So the top bottles are here. You got the Glen Grant and the Russell's Reserve. And each pool is $55. So you're looking at about a 16x potentially. Interesting. Where is your inventory? Like, is it vaulted somewhere or?
Yeah, so we actually operate all of our own vaults in New York and New Jersey right now. Working to expand to some other areas and regions, but that is that for us is our bread and butter right now. So we actually hold all the inventory. If you click into the assets, if you click into all the assets, you'll be able to see it. Then you'll actually be able to see like the 360-degree scans. Like we actually scan each individual bottle, so you're getting like the actual exact details and like information and relevance about the bottle.
Awesome. Very, very nice. Reserve, 15 years old. Nice. Ooh, and there's market value as well. Interesting.
Yep. So when you log in, we pull all of that information.
Got you. Do you guys do have inventory that are still in barrels?
Yeah, so we have bottles as well. We do have barrels. Again, it's less There are barrels. Consumers, if they want, can reach out and can actually purchase a barrel of whiskey. It's less consumer
Mm,
facing because, again, there's a lot more details. Like, you can't take a barrel to
yeah,
your house. Like, it has to stay at a
yeah,
distillery. If you do want to do, like, we have done private barrels for teams, and there is a way for us to do
right,
it. And we are actually building out a much cleaner product for that, so that people are able to, say, hey, Kyzzen wants to do a special limited edition scotch or bourbon. We can actually help you source it and bottle it and, like, bring it either to market to
right,
sell, or, like, have it so that you can distribute it as gifts or keep it for yourself. But that is, like, again, that's just like one of those things where it's there, but it's a lot more complicated on the back end, like, technologically, and people don't fully
yeah,
understand it. So it's kind of more of a little bit more of an OTC
yeah.
product. But ultimately, yes, we've done a lot of a lot of money's worth of, like, barrel transactions through our marketplace as well. There may even sometimes you'll see an individual barrel listed, but again, it's like one of those things where it's not the core focus of, like, the consumer facing marketplace because of those
Got
nuances.
you. No, the reason I'm asking is because through the years, I've seen some platforms try to work on the idea of tokenizing barrels, right? Especially for extremely
Mhm.
exclusive whiskeys, between the 15 to 20-year range. And, like some of them actually take this idea of, having the holders of a specific barrel being like a DAO, a decentralized community where they can actually vote when they want to bottle the
Mhm.
barrel, and then either distribute or just, let the platform sell it uh, on itself. I think there's so many interesting ways that this could work. But okay, so we are looking at the vending machine right now. Um, as you mentioned, it's 1 month old. Okay, so we actually do see more of the other pools here, like what the commons look like. Um, it looks like a lot of Russells and Wild Turkey. Are these like partnerships that you guys have established with them?
So yeah, we work closely. So Russell's is produced by Wild Turkey. We work with their team. We had access. We got very lucky. So the Russell's 15, the Wild Turkey, the Russell's 13s. Those are all, like, really like annual limited edition exclusive bottles, and so they command a really, really high price on the secondary market. And so they're a nice, fun way to do it. We also have done a couple of Wild Turkey, like, Russell's Reserve barrel
Mhm.
picks, like BAXUS. So us plus users of the platform, actually, we fly them down to Kentucky with us, and they actually are able to come and, like, we select a barrel from the rick house, from, like, try different barrels, get a chance to pick the one that we want,
Wow.
and then bring that to market. And so, yes, we have a very close relationship with them. They're a phenomenal team over at Wild
Mm.
Turkey, and Campari. But again, the idea over there is just our users love their product so much that it made sense for us when we were figuring out, like, where are the earliest places that we should be looking at to do like barrel picks from. And, again, we just look inside the data. We have an app, like the BAXUS app, with over 250,000 users that are storing, like, what they have on, like, so you've got your bottles on your bar over there, download the app, you'll type in which bottles you actually
Yeah.
have. And again, that'll get like, make it so that, like, you're able to see, we can see, and, like, oh, you like these bottles, you like this, we can, like, direct and target them to you. But it also means that if we have the opportunity to source bottles at wholesale or really good prices, we can then make them available for our users.
Got you, got you. That makes a lot of sense. So I just realized there are more options for different spin amounts, and they do come with
Yep.
even more expensive bottles. So this one's by the Willett Family Estate, 10-year single barrel. Wow, that's a crazy price for 10-year. Um, let's yeah. Tell me what's so special about this bottle. Let's do some education here.
Sure. Yeah, this is perfect. So yeah, I mean, if you look typically, so the first thing is that Scotch you'll almost never see at that price unless it's really old and
Yeah.
vintage. For bourbon, the pricing markets are definitely different because Scotch, I mean, the oldest bottled Scotch in the world right now is 85. It's spent 85 years in the barrel. You know, you're not really seeing that on bourbon, and most people, even if they are, don't want it. It tends not to be like, at that point. Most bourbon has a different, aging
Right.
profile and situation, largely because of how yeah, again, largely because of how everything, is designed over there. So, um, and the aging conditions and everything in Kentucky. So this one, what makes this one so special is obviously it's Willett Family Estate as well, and it's a single barrel. So Willett commands a premium. They, especially their single barrels, they produce really great whiskey. They have a cult following, but most importantly, what really actually matters for this one was the woman who selected the barrel.
Mhm.
So this barrel itself, like, barrel picks are not all, especially with single barrels. Not every single barrel is created equal. There's nuance, there's differences. That's what ends up changing the prices. But in addition to that, it's who is the person picking it. Now, some barrel picks are just done or single barrels because it's, hey, that's what we do, that's what our brand does, and so, that's it. But for a lot of people, it comes down to who do you and I have similar flavor like do we have similar tastes? Because there are certain flavors that I really like that somebody else might not like, and vice versa. There are flavors that you might like that I might not like. And so finding people whose palates align with yours is really important. And so it happens to be that the woman who selected this barrel, her name is Linnell. She has a liquor store based now in Birmingham, Alabama. But she used to live up in New York, and she used to run a liquor store called Linnell's out of Red Hook, Brooklyn. And the some of the most famous American whiskeys, in this case, the Red Hook Rye, which was really her, was her single barrel selection from
Yep.
Willet, are some of the most expensive whiskeys that have ever sold, at auction or on marketplaces in the United States. Like revered almost universally as some of the best rye that anyone has ever had. They were each single barrels, and so there's also a really finite supply that people, as they drink them, keeps going down and down. I've had the chance to actually have a couple of them be opened in the past few years that I've like drank with friends and people that, and so I can like literally see with my own eyes like the diminishing and dwindling supply that of these barrels. And Linnell, again, not just in my opinion, but I think pretty much around like the American whiskey world, she she very well may have the best palate in American whiskey, I think is kind of how I'd put it. Like when she picks things, it's not like, oh, this tastes exactly what I would expect from a Willet, or this tastes exactly like what I would expect from, some other brand that she'll pick a single barrel for, or her own brand that she's created, Black Unicorn, which has just some of the most spectacular and incredible like flavors again over there. It's she finds the thing that fits her flavor profile and her palate and totally are totally different. And so for us, that's really the fun and exciting part about everything that like over here is like the flavor profile on this when I opened this up was just something like I had never tasted before, especially out of a Willet. And so these were all done by her. They were a pick originally in her store. A lot of them have been able, people bought them up and a lot of them have made their way up to BAXUS. And so that's what makes this one special is if you look, you're not going to necessarily see every single, Willet and Linnell's at, or sorry, every single Willet at 10 years, like trading at this
Yep.
price, but you will also see really rare ones that are going for even higher. So it really comes down to, again, like where's the market demand for that specific single barrel? And that comes down to the flavor and the pricing and of course the
That's
scarcity.
really interesting. So what you're saying is that this lady actually has to go down to the distillery where they have all the barrels, and she actually takes a sip of each barrel and decides which one matches her, I guess, standards and palate, and that she's willing to put her name on, right?
Yeah. So yes. So that's exactly it.
Wow.
Is like, and again, sometimes it's a little different of whether you go to the distillery or whether
Yeah,
they send you samples. It works different. Like, but that's the same idea. Is that
interesting.
you are ultimately you can say yes or no if there's something that you don't like. You could say I don't. I don't want this.
Got you. So are there like, so there are actually many, it's just like a profession altogether to be tasting and I guess giving it that I guess signature stamp, right? Would you say? So there are actually like besides
Mhm.
the now there are actually other connoisseurs that are testing and regularly like giving it their certain branding. Is that normal in the industry?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So
Wow.
like liquor stores, it's not even necessarily expert, and that's the kind of the point over here as to what really sets apart pricing is that liquor stores will get options from brands to do a single barrel pick for their store. And so the difference over there is between again one barrel versus the other is again there's natural differences in the barrels, but it's how good is the taste of the person and their flavor profile like that they're
Yeah.
picking. That's again what really dictates it because you might get the opportunity to do a single barrel, but you have, you know, your palate is better than mine, you pick
Yeah.
differently, or I like something that has a different flavor profile that doesn't agree with most people, but I really like, there's going to be more demand for yours. And so that really is the point. So like again, liquor stores, almost every liquor store now has the opportunity to do some sort of single barrel from a different distillery, groups of people, kind of to your idea of that DAO. But rather than having to buy the barrel and like speculate on the value or whatever it is, like you can go and coordinate now and say, hey, we're going to do a single barrel pick. We're going to try a bunch of different barrels. We're just going to pick one and bottle it right now
Yeah.
versus again saying like we're going to buy something, which I've done a bunch of. I bought barrels with friends and like we sit on them and like we're going to eventually bottle them. I've done that, but I've also done like again with BAXUS, the single barrel where we're like, hey, we're picking something that's ready to bottle right now. And we're bringing
Yeah.
it to market.
Got you. Got you. That makes sense. Walk me through a little bit on the logistics of this. So let's say I were to win this bottle that's valued at 1250, right? Um, like what would the claim process look like and the shipping, I guess?
Yeah, so that's the super easy part. So you buy your bottle on BAXUS, it's already vaulted with us, it's instantly vaulted. And so what ends up happening is then afterwards, if you want to, relist it and resell it in the marketplace, no problem. But if you want to take that bottle and actually, if you want to take the bottle and actually, ship it or redeem it, it's built right into the website. So if you were to go, off of the vending machine page and go directly into like where you are now, like in BAXUS, go into the marketplace. I imagine if you go to your, if you log in and go to an account, you're not logged in yet, but you won't have any bottles in there. But what you'd be able to do is in your account, you have 5, 10 bottles, click on the ones you want to redeem, type in the shipping address, you pay for shipping, and like that's it. It gets sent out to you. And then your bottles are, delivered to your home.
And customs as well, yeah? On top of the shipping.
And yeah, so that's the one thing. So when you're shipping internationally, like there's a flat fee for shipping everywhere in the US. There is a when you're shipping internationally, different countries have different like customs and stuff. And so the individual owner is responsible for the extra taxes and fees if there's customs. What a lot of people have done, because oftentimes a lot of countries, if you're bringing a certain amount of alcohol in, like when you're going through, like when you're flying in, like you're allowed to bring up to a certain number of liters per country, like of alcohol. So a lot of people, what they like is they'll actually buy their bottles on BAXUS and then they'll redeem it in the US when somebody's flying back there. Either they come to visit or they have somebody else who's coming in, like, friends are in for a crypto conference or something, and they redeem the bottles and they bring it back for them to avoid, because sometimes you have countries that have really high customs if you import a bottle, but you're allowed to bring, again, 2 or 3 bottles in just, in your bag.
Yep, exactly. It looks like the inventory is still quite focused on the US whiskey labels.
So that has a lot to do with like just what's here now as far as the relisting. If you go to the top,
Right.
you can definitely filter. I think it has a lot more to do with, I think, a lot of the active users. Like there is a ton of Scotch and single malt and Japanese and other products on there, but ultimately, again, we are in the US and the majority over there. Sorry, what are you clicking on? Because I'm curious where the breakdown is. Like I'm seeing that there's something that says unlisted.
Yeah. Japanese and Scottish whiskey not showing.
Okay, so you know what? Okay, that's actually a bug, and I know it is. Can you type in single malt instead? Filter for single malt. So that's an issue. Yeah.
Yep. Japanese whiskey. Ooh, $5,000. 21-year Irish single malt. Wow.
So you have single malt, you have blended malt. So all of that actually, again, is there and it does exist. But again, and that's just a filtering problem. I'm gonna shoot a bug over to the engineering team.
Yep. And you guys also do wines, or is that an upcoming product?
We also do wines as well. So again, mostly because these are all privately owned bottles that people send in. So, it's not as robust over there on the wine side. And I think I would probably filter for wine versus searching, because again, the stuff you'll get over there. But yes, there are some really nice bottles of wine that are stored. Of course, our vaults are all temperature controlled and insured. And so people send in, like, we've got some really, really nice old wines, ports, Madeira, stuff like that. But it hasn't been as much of a focus yet, because again, it's still scaling up and finding the right collectors who are willing to bring those bottles on.
I'm sorry, does it say 1880?
It does. Yep.
What?
There are bottles, and that's not even the oldest one. If you search Madeira in there, you're going to see, I think we have a bottle from the early 1700s.
Is it this one? No, Madeira. Madeira?
Yep. Madeira.
Yeah. Man, do you think, being an expert, do you think, I guess as an investment, does fine wines or fine whiskeys, which one kind of retains their value better, or like grows better?
Yeah, so there's a lot of nuance between, like, if you're looking at it as an asset class, and again, it's like, trying to overly generalize of like which one does better. It's like, it's very hard to do. There's the first thing to keep in mind is that there's a lot more risk with wine, in the sense of wine goes bad. Like the storage conditions like are really important. Even if you store it perfectly, there could still be a fluke and some air gets in and it oxidizes the bottle. And so it's a lot easier for wine to go bad than for like hard alcohol. And like fortified alcohol is actually better. Fortified wine, like port and Madeira, actually lasts for, it's more similar to a whiskey or to a spirit. And so that's actually why it has less of a risk, and you could still drink something from the 1700s versus with wine, like you're really not going to be drinking something. You might drink it just for the sake of saying you tried it, but it's not really going to drink well. With whiskey and other spirits, it doesn't have that same like going bad factor. Like the alcohol actually helps preserve it and prevent that. At the same time, because of that, there's also less of a rush or a compulsion to actually drink it. And so certain wines, when they, let's say, like hit their peak and people are talking about it, like there becomes a mad dash for people to try and buy it. So it creates almost like a FOMO thing of, oh, I've got to buy this bottle and drink it right now because it's like absolutely at its best drinking window.
Yep.
And so that also creates a certain effect. But ultimately, it also has to do with like just trends in general of like where people are spending their time and their money on wine. There's obviously still a very, very large, high quality, like super, super fine wine market.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's but at the same time, like there is that same thing for whiskey as well. And ultimately, again, what it comes down to is like wine also has a lot more issues regarding provenance. So you need a lot more of the trusted like intermediaries and stuff like BAXUS, et cetera, to be able to, again, to be able to like help with the authentication and like managing that. Whereas when it comes to whiskey, again, as long as the liquid itself is clear, then you're really then you're fine. Like you don't have to worry about seeing you don't have to worry about like, oh, was it sitting in the sun? Was it whatever? And again, sometimes you do, but you can tell that usually because the liquid will get a little cloudy in the whiskey case or the labels will fade. So there are factors and stuff that you take into it. With wine, like it could again have been stored absolutely perfectly and still go bad. So there's definitely differences over there. At this stage, whiskeys, and again, it's generalized, but whiskeys have been now, like in the most recent times, have appreciated more so than wines, like when you're looking at it from like an index level. But again, these things definitely flip over time, and ultimately, when you get down to it, it's like really you want to talk specific SKUs, like certain vintages of certain bottles of wine will definitely outperform other things as well.
What is the, I guess, gold standard for wine brands? Like what is like the most luxurious wine label there is?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like the best known, highest value wine is like a DRC, like Domaine Romanée-Conti. So it's a Burgundy from France, from the Burgundy region, and I would say yeah. So I would say that one, like their 1945 vintage, just sold like for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a single bottle.
Shit.
You have this with the first growths in Bordeaux as well.
Yeah.
Although again, not as much, but for the older vintages and things, like they're also going for hundreds of thousands of dollars at times, or at least tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
um yeah, France is like definitely, as far as like the peak of collectible wines, they're still like, things are changing, but they're still coming out of France.
Got you. Got you. That makes sense. So I think this is one of the very early bottles you were mentioning. The Madeira 1715 bottle. A couple of questions. I guess first one is what is the protocol fee here? Let's say this deal was to go through. What's the percentage fee that BAXUS charges?
So we take a 10% seller's fee, and we don't charge any buyer's premiums. So really, when like people are looking at this, like the best way to look at it is, again, against the auction houses, which are the dominant player within the wines and spirit spaces.
Yep.
And so they charge a 10% seller's fee, plus they charge in some cases up to 35 or 40% buyer's premiums.
Wow.
And so what ultimately ends up happening is that most of the value of a transaction ends up going to the auction house.
Yep.
And so we are, on our end, on the other side, it's like it's the exact opposite, which is like, yes, we take a fee because again, we're covering the storage, the insurance, all these other components, and like actually the scanning, authentication, logistics. But we don't actually, the price you see is the price you pay. And so that actually makes it much easier for
Yep.
buyers to be able to make decisions and say, okay, I'm not rushed because sure, the bottle might be sold. But it also, like somebody else might come and buy it, but it's not like I have an
Yep.
auction where I have to make a decision in the next 2 minutes or I'm going to lose it.
Yep. Yep. Is there a claim fee? Let's say after I buy it, is there a fee to claim, or I just got to pay shipping fees?
Just the shipping cost. We don't charge a redemption fee or
Awesome.
anything else.
And no storage fee.
Yep.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And you guys do ship globally, although that
We
would
ship
entail
globally.
more
There
cost.
again, there if your country has customs or different rules, like that's, again, there's a process and we basically go through and we'll vet out each country and like let you know where we can and can't ship and give you an estimate on the rules. Some people like they see the price and they're like, forget it, I'll just leave it there and get it at some point.
Right.
Or they're like, hey, forget it and I'll just resell it on the marketplace and get the cash.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people again leave it and just pick it up at another time. And some people say, great, it's fine. Like, the cost, I can't get this bottle here anyways, so it's worth the cost. Like I'll pay the customs.
Got you. Got you. Makes sense. I see this little thing here that says highest offer. So you guys allow users to kind of put in their own bids for specific bottles.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is that, like, again, you can list the bottle at whatever price you want, but we allow people to like make offers, and this happens all the time. And some of, like,
Mhm.
there are some great transactions that happen that way, because this was the whole concept of doing it as a marketplace instead of an auction to begin with.
Yeah.
Is you want to create that equilibrium between buyers and sellers. You want it to be that you're like, listen, I'm looking for X price, but you come in and you're like, listen, I'm willing to pay Y, and then we're just like, great, we can agree over there. Or, I can then, let's say I list a bottle for 1,000 and you offer 800. I can then just lower the price to 900 and say, okay, let's see if, this guy buys it at that price. So you do create a little bit of this back and forth, which I
Yeah.
like. And then at the same time, on the flip side, what we also do is, like, again, or is coming very soon, is this order book model, where you're actually going to be able to see, like, a full on the depth of the liquidity at each bottle level, like across the release.
Yeah.
So again, this is something that may as well be a one of one. I don't know how many more of these bottles are on the market, so it's not going to have, a very competing order book on the asks side of the book.
Yeah.
But you might see different offers at different levels over there, like, that are showing it. And so for a bottle that's more common, or that there's more of, what you'll see is you'll end up seeing a ton of the bids and asks. And what that will do is it'll enable people who have these bottles at home, or who see them in a liquor store because they use the BAXUS app and they go into a store and they're scanning bottles on the shelves. It'll be like, hey, this bottle has an ask price of, $150, and it's on the shelf right here at 75. You can then buy that bottle, send it in, and immediately fill the transaction.
Got you. Got you. But you guys don't have any plans to actually do periodic auctions at all, is it?
We might do auctions. We've thought about it a lot. There is value to auctions, the
Yep.
adrenaline, the fun.
Yep.
But in reality, even then, the auctions themselves that are the best ones, and they're rare. They're only a couple of times a year. But like, when some of these big auction houses will actually throw in-person auctions, like you actually
Yeah.
get together in the room, people are drinking, they're having a great time. That's way better. Like, online auctions are, in
Yeah.
like, in my opinion, they're not fun. Like, you've taken the best part of the auction and you've just stuck it on. You've just left us with the worst mechanism. Like, the way that modern auctions run is a really bad financial mechanism,
Yep.
but it's a really, really good social experience. And so that
Yes.
is something that we're thinking about, is like, if we are going to do auctions and we have to do them digitally, then the mechanism is going to look different, because you have to make it more dynamic and engaging and gamified. And
Yep.
if not, ideally, if we're going to do auctions, they're going to be in person, they're going to be fun, they're going to be social events where, like, you come and just have a
Yep.
good time, even if you're not necessarily buying something.
Got you. Got you. Now, because in Web3, I think most people are very comfortable with the format of, it being a purely digital experience for auctioning, as well as now I see more and more like raffles kind of systems that go for RWA, especially for high price items. So I think one platform, Watch.fun, launched recently, where they do raffles for very expensive like Rolexes and AP. Yeah, so just thinking along those lines, that could kind of provide a different kind of experience to what we see here. Yeah, it's definitely very, very interesting. I guess one other question I had was, how often are you guys expanding the whole inventory, especially now that you guys have gacha version? I'm assuming that you guys have to keep finding new high priced fine wines and whiskeys as people start to play gacha and kind of win those rares. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I want to make sure that I, like, fully, but yeah, basically, like, so gotcha, we have our gotcha mechanism. We haven't done any raffles per se yet.
Yep.
But there are a lot of other, I'd say, like, gamified processes and ways and things that we're going to be rolling out to, like, make it more fun. Like, there's, and again, I like raffles. I think that they're great, but, like, what I prefer about the gotcha to a basic raffle system. Now, raffles are cheaper to enter always,
Yep.
because, like, that's the dynamic of it. But what I prefer about a gotcha is, like, yeah, there's a bit of chance involved, but I'm also automatically getting something. Like, it's not like, oh, I just spent money and my ticket and it didn't end up, I didn't win anything, and, like, so that's that.
Yep.
It's like, hey, I spent $100, and instead of pulling a $1,500 bottle, I got an $80 bottle. Like, okay, great, fine. So I spent a little bit more than I would have if I had found it elsewhere. Like, maybe it's 80 in one store, it's 85
Yep.
in another. Like, but I got a bottle, and then it's my choice if I want to sell it back. Much,
Yeah.
versus, like, okay, no, I'm going to keep it, and so that is definitely like a really big part of what I think makes it all different.
Got you, got you. No, my second question was more on, like, are you guys actually actively going out into the market to pick up more and more bottles to, I guess, fill the supply for the vending machine, as well as I guess direct sales on the platform?
Yeah, so the direct sales on the platform, it's not BAXUS. The direct sales
Okay.
on the platform is
from partners.
Is again, it's well, it's individuals. That's the idea, is that like you have a bottle at home, you send it in. So it's really that peer-to-peer side of the marketplace. It's
So
really
they
coming, and that's why again,
physically sent
that's
to
why
you.
the exactly, and that's why the
Wow.
inventory is so random sometimes. Like there's really cheap bottles and really expensive bottles and really old bottles. Like it's whatever people have, and so that
Right.
becomes like a big thing versus just being a store. Like that's really where the marketplace and exchange comes from, and it's why again you'll see so many random SKUs or even the same bottle might be on the site listed at different prices because two different guys own it and they're listing them at different prices on the marketplace. The way that we
Yep.
have with everything else. So that I'd say is like a big differentiator over there. For the vending machine, obviously that's stuff that we stock. So we buy it off of our marketplace, we source stuff, we do like the barrel picks and BAXUS things. And so that
Mm,
we actually stock ourselves because they're all bottles that we own.
that makes sense. That makes complete sense. This buyback rate 85%. So I'm assuming that means that let's say I were to pull this bottle, I will actually be able to instant sell it back for 85% of this price. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Got you. Got you. Interesting. Okay, so for the next, let's say 1 month or leading up to breakpoint, right? Like what can we expect? What are you guys working on right now?
Yeah, so the big thing that we just shipped is our app, the BAXUS app. So what that does is it gives you access to things like, the marketplace. It'll take you to the website all logged in. But really what it's designed for is like three parts. It's designed for you to track what you have at home. So you could obviously, it's the same login, you see what's in your vault on BAXUS, but it's really what's on your bar, right? Like what are you drinking at home? What's
Mm-hmm.
on your wish list? What do you want to drink or a bottle you find? And then ultimately it actually shows you, like if you search any bottle in there, it'll pull up and show you like what the prices are, like locally, what what the MSRP is, what the market value is. So when you go into your local liquor store to buy something, like that you're paying fair market pricing, or at least having a better educated decision of, hey, should I buy this or is this a fair
Yeah.
price? And then the newest feature that we just launched, and this is really like the most important part and what makes it really exciting, is this product, the feature called Hunts. And
What?
so the idea is it's called hunts, like hunting.
Hunt. Okay.
And so really what it is, it's like Pokemon Go for whiskey. The idea is like whenever you go into a liquor store and like you can scan the barcode on a bottle, you enter the price and it enters it into the database and you earn points. And then we do giveaways every week for bottles. So like we end up rewarding people. And what that does is it helps us actually collect more localized pricing data so that we can give people more and more accurate pictures as to how much a bottle is worth or how much it's selling for in their area versus just on a global basis.
Right. Right. How do I find these hunts? Is it live yet or not yet?
It's live. It's directly in the BAXUS app.
Oh, so it's only on the mobile experience. It's not on the desktop experience.
Correct, because you need to be able to scan the bottles when you're in
Yeah.
the liquor store. So if people want to walk around with a laptop, we can roll it out for desktop. But for now, it makes more sense on mobile, and that's
Yeah.
available both on Android and on iPhone
Did you guys run
and on
any
the Seeker.
campaign on Seeker? Yeah, exactly. So are you guys
Mhm.
in the Seeker season 2 as well?
So yeah, so we're going to be doing some stuff for Seeker season 2. Yes, but yeah, there's going to be some stuff for the Seeker season as well. But the first version of Hunts was actually a Seeker exclusive. We launched it in December at Breakpoint, and
Mhm.
up until July 4th, which is when we brought it live to the iOS and Android, the only people who were allowed to hunt that had the earliest access and had basically been able to accrue the most points were all Seeker users. We gave it to the Solana ecosystem early.
Got you. Got you. Got you. That's awesome. Um, in terms of the user mix, do you think you guys are still more towards the Web2 crowd, or do you think that Web3 users are more dominant in your user mix?
Yeah. So what's cool about this is that there's like kind of twofold in the sense of our largest audience is definitely not Web3. It's definitely not the crypto audience. Like it's people who are whiskey people or whiskey curious. Either they
Yeah.
have the app because they're just trying to make sure that they're paying good prices,
Mm-hmm.
or they have the app because, yeah, there's a lot of that. Either it's because they're paying good prices, or they have the app because they're doing, um, they're tracking their collections or what's on their wish list or what they want.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, what's super cool is there's also a lot of Web3 people who are whiskey people. And I don't just
Yep.
mean like huge collectors or traders, but they like whiskey. And I use whiskey as the stand in, but they
Yeah.
like whiskey. They buy wine, they buy, tequila, vodka, whatever it is. They buy these things on BAXUS. So that's the cool part is, again, it's like they can use their credit cards or anything, but they can also use their crypto and actually buy it.
Yeah.
And I will say that we have a lot more things that are coming out in the near future that are really going to appeal to the crypto audience as far as like feature sets and products that are going to make it that'll make it uh, create more of that experience that they're used to, like for the trading and stuff like that. But at the same time, what is really cool is that you do have some of the crypto people who are more like longer term collectors, longer term, like, investors, so to speak. And so for them, we've definitely seen people who have like come in and, rotated meme coins into super high end bottles, and they're really using it for the store of value component. So we have, the wine and spirits audience for sure. We have the wine and spirits audience that exists within crypto, and now we're even starting to see more of the purely kind of crypto degen speculators starting to realize the value of stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super interesting. And I assume the biggest demographic is still American based. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's very American heavy on the app side. It's definitely on the, like as far as people tracking their bottles. As far as on the global side, yes, there's also, the predominantly American, but we do have a lot of international buyers and sellers as well.
Interesting. Interesting. I guess before we call it a day, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, this is the big thing is feedback. Like, I'm Web40 on Twitter. Like, you can always like, if BAXUS Co on Twitter, like if there's something you're looking for, a feature, a question, a bottle, you have some information about, like, we love sharing. We've got people on the team who are really passionate about like, wines and spirits and are happy to share information and to be able to like actually answer questions both of like, hey, what's this feature or why is this like this? But also like, hey, what's this bottle? Can you tell me the backstory? We love talking about it. So that's the first thing is like really engage, because the other thing that's super cool that people might not know is there's actually a massive wine and whiskey community on Twitter,
Yeah.
like outside of CT, people that really, again, post their bottles and love to talk about it. And so seeing that crossover is always so fun when I see like my whiskey Twitter friends end up interacting with my crypto Twitter friends. So it's also a really cool way to like meet people that have like, diversified interests over there. And the
Yeah.
second thing I would say is just to, give that alpha is definitely, if you have not yet, download the BAXUS app and start logging your first hunts. Like again, the points right now are just used for raffles, but I can just tell people like they're going to want to be doing things to help accumulate points. So spinning on the vending machine, on the gotcha product, buying stuff on the marketplace, but really, really downloading the app and going hunting at those liquor stores is going to be the thing that's going to have a longer term rewards, I would say.
Got you. Got you. Any plans to have, I guess, exclusive like BAXUS editions? So, for example, a friend of mine actually did this exclusive like Solana. I mean, obviously I finished it, but like one for like Solana Breakpoint, where they actually picked the barrel and then they bottled it up and made it a whole exclusive, like I think it was called Dremski. Yeah. Is there any plans to do your own line of like own created bottles for specific events?
So for now, we've done barrel picks where again, like it's another brand. So if you look like, that preservation pick that we did, that's
Yeah.
a BAXUS exclusive. So that's single barrels only on BAXUS.
Oh,
We
nice.
have talked, right. So there are like certain wild turkeys that are like Russell's Reserve exclusively for BAXUS. And there's only usually like maximum 150 bottles, usually even fewer. So
Yep.
it's definitely something that we've thought about. But as far as like doing our own BAXUS brand, it's something that we've thought about. We're not sure yet whether we want to do it as like the BAXUS brand, but what we
Mhm.
have done again is like we've done things for other teams. So like, and
Right.
that's really more what we want to be able to do is be like a provider. We want to make it be more of again like a provider for other teams that want to do their own product and say like,
Yeah.
hey, we want to launch and there again, I'm not going to say who, but there are teams we're already talking to. They're doing a conference or they're doing an event and they want to do like hey, we're doing I'm just going to throw a name. We're not, but like Jupiter, let's say, right? We're
Yeah.
not talking Jupiter, but hey, Kosh, if you guys want to do a whiskey, let me know. But they want to do a Jupiter exclusive
Yeah.
bottle. And so we'll make that possible and they'll be able to do the branding and be able to release something like that. So that is really more the thing of like, we want to be able to facilitate it versus like having everything just have our brand and logo on it.
Yeah, no, I think this one is by the Wrecked Brands. I'm not
Yep.
sure. I'm not sure if they went through like a partner to bottle and market this, but it was a specific activation that they did it for. I'm sure we could have a chat with Monkey DAO. I'm not sure if you know about Monkey DAO, but maybe there could be some interesting projects and protocols and communities that may be interested to have a chat. Yeah, because you guys are the experts in whiskeys, and I think I can't think of many Web3 friends that I know that can't appreciate a good whiskey. So yeah, really, really bullish on the long-term vision of this. I think, whiskey and wines are industries that are as old as time, right? I mean, this 1715 bottle is pretty much
Yep.
testament to that. So extremely bullish. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of the app as well as your future activations. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Please do follow BAXUS Co on Twitter. Follow Kyzzen and myself as well, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. Take care.